Welcome. Good to see you.
Good to see
Tim
you,
McCorry, the new manager of Down, fresh from the great swathe of success in Coo, and now you've been pulled back into Down and doing it. You're a great man, and congratulations, and we wish you well.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, you had already a victory. Your stamp is on it, you know.
Yeah, well,
a goal and a point you won.
It's nice. Right? It's nice. Yeah, it's nice. It's nice to get one because obviously the first one was disappointing in our own backyard. You expect maybe that your first game at home, Fortress Down, and everybody's up for the game. There was good support, nice day. Everything was right for a nice victory.
Yeah,
but
I heard
the script changed.
But I mean, scripts do change, and your technique in bringing the squad forward. Is there a special emphasis, or is it about fitness, strength, strategy? Where is it, and what are the dimensions?
Well, I would say it's all of those. There's no one single component in modern day football. Certainly, from our point of view, going into the McKenna Cup, we had a 4-week period to prepare for that competition, which is very, very short. Yeah. So with fairly intensive training and reports of all these heavy training sessions and 7-day-a-week training, a lot of it false, of course, but we had to prepare them in an intensive way, for that competition. Because really, the McKenna Cup starts in February, or the McKenna Cup starts in January, the National League starts in February, so you have very little time to prepare, So, I mean, that was the initial phase of getting us started, getting to know each other. I mean, you're coming in new manager, whole new management team. Backroom team still the same. I mean, we kept Waddy and Alton, and we kept our medical team. The doc and the 2 physios were all there. So all the extended backroom team the same. But you've new coaches in that have players how they get used to that. You've new players brought in, so players get used to the new players. So it takes a wee while for all of that to bed in. So I mean, the initial phase when you go in as a manager is really just getting to know players, getting prepared to start up, and really it's a process rather than an event to say.
What would you say your management style is?
Well, I suppose that's better for others to assess. I've been told from different sources I'm a dictator. I've been told I'm a collaborator. I suppose there's all sorts of different mixes there.
I think you need all of that, don't you?
You probably do, and it
call
depends.
It hard when it needs to be called hard.
Well, yeah, there's a time factor. There's times when you're probably a bit more relaxed and a bit more cooperative, and you work with. There's other times you have to make hard decisions and be a bit dictatorial. You have to call things as they are. You have to call them on the day of a match. You have to call them in preparation. There are certain players who deal with a more direct approach where they're told, and like that. And there are other players that like a more communicative and two-way conversation about how to improve and the arm around the shoulder. So you've got to have a number of different management styles. And
there's a bit of a psychologist about you in there.
Well,
you need to be able to read people.
Well, you do. I mean, it's all about people management, really, in the end, isn't it? You want to be able to manage people.
Which is what you do in your day-to-day job, anyway.
You've reached your destination. Go!
You're in there as the manager. You have all of those strands that you're pulling together to do it. You are managing a group of strong young athletes. Dare I say, headstrong young athletes. If they're not that, they're no good to you.
Yeah, well, the thing about it is, modern-day footballers, Rowan, come in with the mentality of how to prepare themselves. They know, the lifestyle that's needed. They know the fitness regimes that's needed. I mean, in terms of proper hydration, proper nutrition. I mean, they're all clued into that. And if you don't actually do that as a team now and as a squad, they're sort of raising their eyebrows and saying, well, why have we not got a sports psychologist? Why have we not got a nutritional advisor? Why have we not got a strength and conditioning coach? So they all come in with that in their own psyche now that's the way to prepare, as all teams do. I mean, you've seen the most successful sides do that. They come in with that, and they're headstrong, yes, in the sense that they know what they want, and they want to deliver. They're not there. They're there for their health. They're there for the enjoyment. They're there for the fun, and it has to be fun.
To win.
That's the bottom line. And that's what everybody out there wants. They want to see. They want to see silverware, and that's what players want. I mean, what supporters want and what the general public want out there for Down is what we in management and we as players want as well.
I'm going to take you extraordinarily into the world of magic. This can't happen. But if the team that played your recent victory, if that team, you won by a goal and a point, I think.
That's right, yeah.
If that team could magically play against the Down team that won the first All-Ireland, what would the dynamic be? What would the difference in the two teams be? Who would win?
Well, certainly the one thing that would be the same for both is the passion to play for their county.
Right.
I mean, there's no change in that over the years. The players that are there now are totally dedicated, totally passionate about playing football for the county, representing their county and being successful. So that's the one thing that from the great teams of the past, the current teams, that they all have that same psyche about them. Certainly the preparation is different now to then, and the availability of all sorts of sports science and betterment for players is there. And then the downside of that, of course, is this whole thing about burnout and what players do. They're overtrained, they don't have a social life. A lot of it probably is maybe over-reported, to be honest.
Yes,
Probably speaking to a reporter, you may not like that. But I mean, I think maybe a lot of individual stories become a norm in reporting that teams are overtraining, they're training so many nights a week, there's no social life, they're not allowed to drink and all that end. But probably in the olden days, they maybe had a wee bit more freedom to do that, and there wasn't a stricter regime, but and of course they wouldn't have had the same strength conditioning that you would have now. You wouldn't have had sports psychologists then.
So we're really saying here that the modern team would whoop the old team.
Oh no! What I'm saying is that you asked me what the difference was. Those
and also who would win?
Well, who would win? Who would win would be an interesting question, because certainly the one thing, you can have all the sports science you want. You can have all the backup that you need. You have to have players who want to win, and you have the players with the ability to win. And certainly in those days, I mean, the ability was second to none. They were superb, both from the early time and certainly more recently in Pete McGrath's time as well, So as to who would win, give me a wee bit more time on that one, because I've only had 2 matches, so it gives me a wee bit more time. Currently, absolutely, the previous teams would win because we haven't even started yet. But time will tell, of course.
My memory, I don't know what you remember of the first All-Ireland win. James McCartan and Paddy Doherty and Tony Haddon and Pat Rice and the old. I have this memory of looking at the game from the stand, from the Hogan stand, and I saw red and black. And I saw a fluency of movement across the pitch. The ball was moving and the passing was superb.
Absolutely,
There was no such thing as the massive big Gary Owen of rugby. There was something occurring that I had never seen before in football. Now, what element of that old style would you hold on to, and how has the technique today changed from that fluency of movement?
Okay, well, the first part of your question was you asked me what was my memories of that.
Yes.
And of course, I wasn't born then.
You're joking,
being only a young fella,
You're
of course.
Joking,
I'm still only a young fella, of course. In my own mind, probably more than anything else.
I so easily forget that.
But certainly having seen a lot of down football over the years in the early stages, and you've seen video from it.
Do you recognise what I was describing there?
Absolutely, and probably. I mean, in those days, down really were the innovators of the modern style of football, moving it fast, having a physicality about it. And probably what's missing nowadays is, that freedom that they played with in the past, that quick movement of the ball. There was no blanket defences, there were no sweepers, there were no double sweepers, there were no drift defences. All these things in modern football. I mean, nowadays you go out in a challenge match. You have a blanket defence. For example, our game on Sunday, which we referred to, won by 4 points. We were looking at the DVD yesterday, and at one stage there were 14 men inside the opposition's 50. You had never seen that in those days. You could have played nice, open, attractive football, which is really what everybody wants to go back to. But I suppose it's like some of the great modern-day managers, Mickey Hart, for example, saying, adapt or die. Either you have a defensive strategy or you just don't survive. So that's probably one of the biggest differences. And I, along with everyone else, would love to see that football that you've referred to back again. We see the individual flair. You see catching, because, very little catching in the game now. Really? In those days, you were seeing fantastic catches. Probably there were more catches than break ball in the old days. It's the reverse now. There would be more kick passes in the old days. Now it's a shorter game. There would be less defensive strategies. It was all about the attacking strategies and good score lines for that. And that's really what it should be about, but often not nowadays. That's not the case.
Have you within the squad a Gooch of Mourne?
A Gooch of Mourne. Everybody would have their own perception of who their Gooches are. And certainly a lot of people would.
We're talking about the Kerry player here.
Well, of course, Colin Cooper. But for me, there's quite a few Gooches. And probably the one I'd have been associated most with was Conor Lafferty from Kilcoo. probably not much different in size.
Yeah.
He's certainly no different in my eyes in terms of skill. He has skill to burn. Fantastic footballer. Totally dedicated as the Gooch would be as well. I mean, his whole lifestyle and everything he does is geared towards football. He doesn't drink, he doesn't smoke. He's a great lifestyle. He looks after himself really well. But on the field, he's mercurial. The skills that he has,
word,
you know.
mercurial.
Well,
Yeah,
I would refer to him. You
It's
use the Gooch one. You know,
Yeah.
I would use the Messi of
Messi,
of modern day Gaelic
Yeah.
football.
Yeah.
In my eyes, you know, and obviously, I mean, one reason I'm saying that about Connor is that I've been with Kilcoo for so long.
Yeah.
Connor's been the backbone of that team, along with quite a number of other longer term players that's been there. Great leaders on and off the field, you know. So, and everyone would have a different person, you know, that would be the sort of Gooch, you know. But Connor's the household name, really, not only in Down but throughout Ulster as well, in Ireland, in
Yes.
terms of the real Gooch or the Messi of Down football.
You're having to make. Sorry, go ahead.
No, currently.
No,
just currently.
you're making. You had to make a call on the injured man of Burren for tonight's game, and you know what? How seriously is he injured?
Well, it's not as bad as was initially thought. I mean, when he was stretchered off and the leg was immobilised, the immediate concern is cruciate knee injury. You know, and that's the biggest concern that modern day managers have, and it's more and more recurrent. You hear of different cruciate ligament injuries in the knee, and that's what we thought at the time on it. And it was a big impact hit on the knee. Luckily, we didn't have any structural damage to the knee, and it was all impact. So. Not as bad as what we thought. Probably too soon to risk him for tonight's game. And hopefully we'll have him back again very, very soon. It may well be that we have two fantastic physios, you know, Ozzy and Anthony do great work. They were working on him that evening. They were working on him on Monday evening and yesterday. Yeah. And, you know, if all the swelling's down and the soreness is out and there isn't that structural damage in it, you know, he could figure in some part tonight. But we'll wait until tonight till we see it. But certainly my view would be with such a major impact injury like that, we're best to retain Kevin rather than use him tonight.
You're new, you're in there, you're fresh, you're young, you don't do talking tours of the world. I'm thinking of people like Mickey Hart, been around a long time. Is there a moment he should go into the footballing House of Lords, to go away and leave it and to bring on the new? In politics, it was John Hume who never took on the next leader, and Mallon was never destined to be leader. Can a manager overstay his welcome?
You can, absolutely, and that's the decision for Mickey Hart, for when it's time for him to do that. I mean, Ferguson was another good example in the sporting world, you know, and he went out on high, went out at the right time, calls for him to come back. That's probably a good sign, you know, when you're out at the right time, whenever there's calls for you to come back again. Obviously, you know, the Miles experiment didn't really work in that particular one. Mickey Hart is a fantastic footballer. He's a fantastic ambassador, you know, for Gaelic football, you know, and as a person and the work that he does.
But there's an All-Ireland in you. There isn't in him in the future. Because he's been there, he's had his day.
Well, he's had 3, and he's had tremendous success on the 21 and minor level right through. And Mickey Hart's time to go will be his decision because he's fully supported in Tyrone by the supporters, by the county board, and most importantly by the players who he still gets every ounce out of, you know. And what Mickey's done, and people need to watch as well, he's been shrewdly, while Tyrone have not been winning at the top level in terms of Ulsters and All-Ireland recently, they've won obviously the last 3 McKenna Cups. What he has done is brought in new players to try and develop that new team again. And they will be a force again, there's no doubt about that. Whether it's under Mickey's leadership or not, again, that's the decision for him to decide. But knowing how much he's immersed in Gaelic football and in Tyrone, you know, I think he'll be here for a while to come.
For a while to come yet. Yeah. To what extent are you interested, and need you be interested, in the new crop of minors, of young footballers coming through, the college footballers of the Abbey and St. Coleman's and out the road at St. Paul's now these days, and St. Joseph's are doing well in the Armagh Road here. What percentage of your time are you required to dedicate to keeping a weather eye for the future stars? Well,
being manager of any county team nowadays and manager of this team isn't about the senior football team and training them. It's about a whole process over time. And I'll give you the example. I mean, I'm in for the 3 years, and hopefully it is the 3 years, and hopefully it's longer, you know, with success coming through. I also have a role in overseeing the under-21 football, and I appointed Frank Dawson as the manager there. Fantastic coach, fantastic manager, totally dedicated
He was the fellow, he did Antrim at one stage.
He did Antrim, he did
Yeah.
indeed, yeah, and he was very successful. Had 2 championships with Byrne, also one with Clonduff. Actually, whenever I was in charge of Mayo Bridge, they beat us in the final way back. So, luckily, I didn't hold that against him, or he wouldn't have this job on. And I keep saying to Frank, you know, he's the second most successful manager in Down.
Ah, yes.
And he keeps saying to me, will you stop saying that? You know, and I keep asking him, who's the most successful of recent times, of course, you know. So it's about a process over time with those 3 years developing. And in order to do that, you need to have the conveyor belt of players coming through. So the development squads really feed into the minor team under Shane Mulholland. Shane then feeds into the under-21s under Frank and feeds into the seniors. And I would have to have an overview of all of that and to have an understanding where players come through, because really what you want is, you want silverware, absolutely, but you also want progression with the team and you want improvement, so that each year you're improving with new players coming through. As we've seen with some of the players leaving, you have other players coming through, younger players that take up that mantle. I mean, I was reading recently about Niall Medine being one of the older or more senior players now, and he's only a young fella, he's only in a few years, yet you know, that's the sort of the way things move. So you've got to have that development squad's feeding through to the minors, as I said, right through into the seniors, and I have to have an understanding of that and link in with those managers and coaches that's involved at that level.
Will you have conversations with the schools? Will you talk to the coaches in the schools?
Well, really, that would be the development squad, and the underage managers would do that more. I would talk to the managers of the county teams that would do that end rather than the schools. But you would still have conversations with them, of course, you know. But really, that would be for the managers at that level.
I know you're not, and it's anathema to even suggest it. You're not in the Armagh side of the river. I keep thinking, you know, when Crossmaglen was at its height, doing well, the Rangers were at their height, and they were winning all around them. They couldn't be beaten. Why? I could never figure out why Armagh didn't take off the yellow and black stripes of Crossmaglen and put the Armagh jersey on the Crossmaglen team. They would surely have won 1-1. Why would that not work as a concept?
Okay, well, it's a completely different level when you look at it. I mean, people say about club level and the great clubs, you know, should dominate county teams, and it's not necessarily true, because, I mean, I'll give you an example in Kilcoo, and a lot of people said I'd be bringing more Kilcoo players in, and people kept talking about the 3 Brannigans in the full back line in Kilcoo, who are fantastic footballers. But within Down currently, we've 3 full-backs who are equally, if not equally good, if not better. So, I mean, club and county isn't always an automatic transition for people on that. And you can't, when you take, for example, a really good club, I've seen fantastic club players, only people would look and go, why is he not in the county? He is Jim McCorry, midfielder, he's superb, and he gets an opportunity and he can't really make that transition, you know. So it's difficult for some players, others that probably you wouldn't expect to make county players come through and do that on it. But invariably, it's not always the successful clubs who transfer the most players, because if you take the catchment of players you have available to you, I mean, there would be a lot of players right throughout this county, and all the divisions that are equally as good as the county champions would have. And that would be the case in Armagh as well, of course. They did have a good sprinkling of Crossmaglen players in, you know, the best would have been brought in on it. And then the other problem you had is you did the club county dilemma, where they were very dedicated to their club, you know, and so there's a difficulty.
How would that work out if you had fellas in the university squad and you wanted 1 or 2 of them for Down? You would have to sort of say, well, so you're not giving me, I can't have him then? Is that what you're saying to me? I can't have him?
Well,
how would that work out?
And certainly in terms of the Mechanic Cup, that is the case. And managers speak, you know, there isn't a great, you know, divide between university managers and county managers. I mean, I'm talking to James, I'm talking to Barney Magaleen, I'm talking to Paddy Talley, you know, about the players we have. Currently, I think we have 11 in our squad at the moment who are at university. And of those 11, there are 7 who are playing for the universities now in the Mechanic Cup, which really is the rule. You release your players to play.
But when you go to All Ireland,
they all
National
finish.
League,
obviously,
they must go to you.
They must come back. Well, obviously, we release the players now for the Mechanic Cup, so we don't see them. They play with the universities. After the Mechanic Cup finishes, they come back for 2 weeks, and then we release them again for the Sigerson, which is all completed during February. At the end of February, then we get all our players back again for the National League. So that's the process.
Jim, that's not conducive to building a cohesive team spirit. If they're away on sabbatical and then they come back to you and then you have them for a fortnight before some big game, you know.
Yeah, great term, that sabbatical. That's probably what it is, maybe for some of them, but it's not conducive. but it can be a benefit.
Yeah.
And the example being now, I think the first game I had 20 players available. Out of a squad of 38, I had 20 players available for the Cavan game. Now, I'm not using that as excuses. We had 10 debutants, or re-debutants as I call them. We had 2 guys who were in the squad last year who didn't play last year. So that was 12 people who hadn't played together. That's giving them an opportunity. If I had all the students available, I've had Mark Poland and Aidan Carr available who got married and were on honeymoon, those guys wouldn't be getting maybe the same opportunity. So that's the counter of it, you know.
I met Mark Poland, and I said to him, why is it that every time I see you, you look the heart and soul on the football field of evil? That look on your face. And he says, that's been said before about, you know what I'm saying? There's a sheer terror-inducing determination in Poland, you know.
And I think that is, you see that in successful players.
Yeah.
I mean, Mark's a very successful player, fantastic club player, great for Down, been a great captain for Down over his last few years as well. But I see that in so many players. I mean, and you're saying about, you know, what qualities does a manager have? You know, that is one of the qualities. They identify that in players as well, where you see that, you know, and whenever that ball, I mean, up to the ball being thrown in, you know, you can be friends with people, you can shake hands with them, the opposition, of course, we're talking about, you know. But when that ball's thrown in, you have to have that steely determination that they are the enemy, and you do everything to overcome them and win your 15 individual battles, you know. He certainly has that, you know.
That spilled over onto a front-page photograph in the Irish News recently. Armagh was involved in the debate, and it wasn't serious damage, but there was a lot of thumping and pulling and wrestling on the ground happening. And the heart of the picture was the dozen spectators looking on from the stand, and they could not have cared less. They weren't involved, not remotely involved. But we're going to take a break at the moment, and we'll be back now until the end of the programme at 10:30 with Jim McCorry.
So, you want local Newry and Mourne TV shows on your television? Which video box should you buy? Well, you have 2 options. Option 1 provides you as long as you have a good internet connection in your home, with all the programmes from destinationnewry.com, including
inside the fencing when we were up there. That's such a change. And the dog muck.
Destination Newry.
Radio evolved.
Hello, your weather for today and tomorrow with Destination Newry. Today.
First, this is Newry News Bite.
Well, what's crack in Newry and Mourne today? We all had a great September weather-wise.
We're going to go straight into today's show with a lively set of tunes from a band called Sun.
Well, good morning. Welcome to Destination Newry.
Tell me the provenance of that. Where did it come from?
Right there, and welcome back to the studio.
Good afternoon and welcome along to Destination Wellbeing. My guest is Hi everyone and welcome to this week's Newry's Loose Women with me.
Well, it's hello and welcome once again to the programme. My name is Tommy Sands.
And the force of the house of our God. Praise the Lord.
Philip Rogan, rather, wearing number 19.
Evening, everybody, and you're very welcome to Newry Showgrounds tonight again.
So that's option 1, and to choose this, click on option 1 below, or you can go to vario.ie and buy option 1. Option 2 provides you, as long as you have a good internet connection in your home, everything you get for option 1, including all the programmes from destinationnewry.com, plus you will be able to add over 1,000 private or public channels at the touch of a button, most of which are free. So that's option 2. To buy, click below and buy option 2, or go to vario.ie and buy option 2. To choose your option, either option 1 or 2, just click on the buttons below, or you can go to vario.ie and click on option 1 or 2. When we receive your payment, we will deliver your box to your home, and all you need to do is plug it in and connect it to your TV and your internet. Any problems, we're here on standby to help.
We're laughing at the passing of time, and we're just saying that I was writing in the Democrat this week about my memories. The old swimming pool in Uri just opened. You have interest in that area as well, Jim.
Absolutely, yeah.
That's Jim's professional work. And I remember the time of the opening of the first swimming pool. We thought it would never open. There were so many difficulties, so many problems, and people said it would never work because the builders had cut down a fairy thorn in the reservoir where it was built. But it worked, and it worked over the years, and now we have the new one opening up there. Now, we're talking the last what? We have 15 minutes to go, or just under 15 minutes, Jim. New manager of Down, determined, enthusiastic, and we were talking there about something that, dare I call it the kill factor. It's something in the genes that makes the man give and give beyond anything that he's got. That the sort of thing that takes a man to walk to the North Pole or whatever, that sort of steely determination.
Yeah.
Something in the genes.
Yeah.
You have it, if not in abundance, it surrounds you in some measure with the people you're managing.
Absolutely, and you, not only do you have it with your players, which you have to have, but you also have to have it with the guys who support the players and our management team. Mark Copeland and John Morgan have both come in as assistant managers, selectors, with me on it. And Mark was very, very successful at college level with SRC here, winning All-Irelands in League and Championship. And with Down Ladies, won an All-Ireland, fantastic coach.
How did he manage to get playing for the Down Ladies?
I'm not sure just what way that worked, but...
Sorry about that.
Poor Mark. That's terrible. But it's a superb success.
Yeah.
And we brought him in. I actually asked him to come into Kilcoo with me, knowing the coaching qualifications he had. And each year you try and change things up a wee bit. And in Kilcoo, 2 years back, we brought Mark in, and he was fantastic. So he's come in as a coach. He's got that steely determination. When you hear him talking to the players, when you see him on the coaching field, really has got that. John Morgan, and another coach who actually coached for years and Down, was part of the great minor team with Marty Clark and all that, won the All-Ireland. And John's got that as well. So you've got to have that sort of steely determination in what you do from a management point of view, and the players have to have that. And some of that rubs off. I mean, we were talking earlier, I was saying just there's a certain gene in some players, they have it. You can see that it's there from day one, and you help improve the technical part of what they do. There's some players maybe that need a bit more coaching and a bit more support and a bit more, sports psychology to get mental strength and to get that sort of steely determination. And that happens as well on it. But you certainly need, there's no doubt about that. You watch all the great teams, the Dublin team that's won recently, the Donegal team particularly is a great example under Jim McGuinness, and recently Kerry last year, that has to be there.
You mentioned the Dublin team. I had the privilege and pleasure, I must say, of meeting young Carroll, is that his name, the back? In the Dublin team. I would see him, he would come into a place I go to in Dublin every so often, and I would see him there. But as gentle and nice a fellow as ever you saw in your life.
Oh, yeah.
But yet, once it all happens.
Yeah. Well, I would probably say 99.9% of people involved in Gaelic football are the same way you described. They're lovely people. There's always going to be that 0.1% of person maybe just might be as nice as everybody else on. But we're lovely people in Gaelic football.
Is it a dirty game?
No, it's not a dirty game. I mean, we referred earlier just before the break about the photographs about in the Armagh game. I mean, you watch a lot of.
It was more a wrestle than a thumping.
That's what it is.
Because if you
now,
want to damage a man, you'll damage a man, and it'll be serious. But you don't have any of that.
It's all, as everybody says, the handbag stuff now.
Yeah. You've reached your destination.
The way forward, as we're heading into the All-Irelands and things like that, we talked about the defensive player, the system of all the team going behind into the 50-yard box to make sure nobody gets through and all of that. Is that necessarily the way the game is going to go?
Well, there's been a lot.
Would you play the game that way?
I never played. In my time, we didn't play like that.
No, but I'm saying, would you play your team in that? Would that be a strategy?
You would have to have defensive systems. You have to have players. There are two aspects to it. There's the individual defender who can defend as an individual. So if you've got the ball, I know how to defend you. I know how to deny you getting the ball in the first place. But when you do get the ball, I know how to tackle properly to win the ball without giving fouls away and scoreable fouls. But you then have to be able to defend as a team and know how to do that. And obviously, all managers look at a sweeper nowadays. A lot of managers look at getting everybody behind the ball when they need to. I mean, for example, in the last 2 minutes in the game on Sunday, you said that we won by a goal and a point. We tried to get everybody back to ensure there wasn't a goal towards the end. So there's times in the game when you'll have to do that. And probably the team that doesn't have a defensive system or players that can think defensively when they haven't got the ball will be the teams that won't actually progress. So you do have to have that. But unlike Donegal, maybe when they first came on the scene at the start, they were very blanket defence, very defensive orientated. They got a lot of criticism for that, and then they improved with getting the transition into attack, and they got more attack-minded players in as well, and they got their success in the All-Ireland doing it that way. So I think maybe that's the secret to it, that a team can defend when they haven't got the ball.
When they have to do it.
And absolutely.
What about the old skills? Dare I mention the drop kick? Dare I mention the block? Going down over the ball on the foot of the man.
Absolutely. I love your technique there, very, very good, fingers closed over, then down over the ball.
Right half forward Shamrocks and Uri.
There you go, and as well, a little nudge to the player to put him off that wee bit as well. Yeah, very, very, very good. So I'm looking for a fourth coach.
So I would bring the old
ways. If you're available
there,
I'll maybe have to have a look at that.
I'll take them in the Buddhistic way of thing. I'll have them all sitting down.
Well, maybe the jury's out. Maybe the jury's out now.
I was going to say you tear your hair out of it.
Have a head on it, whenever I started coaching, I had a full head of hair, and now look what's happened to me, So
but those old skills. Certainly the drop kick is gone.
Drop kick is gone. I mean, I've seen a wee bit in club football over the years. I really haven't seen it at all in county. And some players actually are quite good at it. I mean,
it's an accurate way of passing.
It's an accurate way. If you do connect the ball properly, you do get it drilled. It's like a bullet type.
Straight to it,
You get a lot of players now who maybe curve the ball with the inside of the foot, either taking it round or taking it round the outside. And you see a lot of still straight kicking ball, but very rarely you'll see the drop kick. You should still see the block, because the block is an integral part of the game.
Very few can do it well.
Yeah.
Or am I being unfair to them?
I don't think, I have to say, probably honestly, it's not coached as much. We would do a bit of it, and we've done quite a bit of it. I mean, all our training sessions, the ball is in hand from the warm up to the cool down. And we cover all the skills. Probably the block would be one of the ones that's covered least, still done, but covered least. And catching as well. A lot of coaching now is done in terms of break ball as opposed to the catch. And proper break ball, not just blast the ball back into the opposition, try and find a man who's free, and then that starts you straight in attack. Instead of catching it, maybe even closed in there, because you see when a player catches the ball now, he's normally engulfed with 3 or 4 players, So a lot of those skills that were part of the Great Down team you talked about, and whenever you played all those short years ago,
So thank you for that.
They haven't gone, but maybe you don't see them in as much abundance as what we used to,
But the whole rage in the old days was that kind of, the down old days was that kind of neatness of passing. It's not gone, it's still there. And you go forward now in your own technique. Is there a kind of heading you can put what you're trying to do by way of technique and strategy under? How would you describe it?
Well, certainly the one thing that we want to do is to get the obvious pride and passion that's there out again in down football. And previous managers were trying to do that as well, and we're managing with that, and players were trying to play with that, but maybe it just wasn't seen as much on it. We want to make sure that that's seen, that players have a pride and a passion on it. Now that's the emotive side. What you want to get with it is a style of football as well, that is an attacking style of football. That you don't want the old Kevin Keegan Newcastle management style. If you score 4, we score 5. But you do want to be able to defend, as I said earlier, as a team when you lose it, but that we can move that ball fast. We're a fast attacking team. A term I used in Kilcoo was fast forward football. Not easy to say after a few drinks in the evening when you've maybe won, But fast forward football, that we are moving forward as a team with the ball and as players in the opposition end of to try and get scores quickly as possible.
One of the things that I often notice when I'm watching a game, I know what's going to happen. The man gets the ball, he's fouled, and I know immediately that the player has given away a foul that he should not have given away. As sure as shooting, there's going to be a score. And that shouldn't happen. And I don't understand why county level footballers cannot see what I can see. If I do this, he will get the free kick, he will score. What's all that about?
Well, certainly you need, there's a lot of furling in Gaelic football, and there's a lot of tactical furling, a lot of rotational furling in Gaelic football nowadays, and you want to try and minimise the amount of furling that you would do in the scoring zone, in that red zone
absolutely.
in front of the D that's going to be down. And it certainly was a difficulty we had against Cavan in our first match. We were given a lot of easy frees away in front of the goals. We gave a couple of ones on Sunday as well, and it's something we have to. That's my job to try and improve that. And it's the players' job to try and ensure what we're trying to coach them to do is enforce. Sometimes maybe the enthusiasm gets a wee bit ahead of them. Maybe they're not thinking, where they're making that tackle. And a lot of things happen nowadays, Ronan, and you see it more and more often, is the cuter forward is now drawing those fouls as well in the scoring zone. A lot of referees, obviously, maybe on the blind side can't see it and are being caught on that as well. So there's a number of different factors in the mix there.
And you're in the mix. You are at the heart of it.
Absolutely.
And as we approach the end of the program, I want to thank you, Jim, for coming in and giving us the kind of inside story on managing Down. We wish you well in your new job.
Thank you very much.
And we know that you stand on the shoulders of giants, going right back to the time of the first All-Ireland before you were born.
Absolutely.
And we look forward to you bringing us to Croke Park again and another. Jim McCorry, the manager of Down, the Kingdom of Down. And when the red and black is drawn against you in any county of Ireland, you have to think twice. God bless you.
Thank you very much.
Enjoyed that. Jim McCorry.
Thank you.